Over the past 7 years, this veteran major market journalist has been poisoned, gassed, vandalized, relentlessly, gang-stalked, harassed, slandered, violated by home invaders and pervasive surveillance, and horrendously tortured and impaired by a stealth microwave radio frequency weapon system, and no law enforcement agency, local or federal, will pursue credible leads that could unmask the community goons and thugs, vigilantes and some uniformed officers, who continue to terrorize me, imprisoning me in what some are calling a virtual Auschwitz. How could law enforcement allow this? The answer is simple. Law enforcement, together with security and intelligence agencies of federal and local government, is the complicit overseer of a nationwide campaign of extrajudicial targeting, persecution and high-tech, electromagnetic silent torture, and American genocide. The Gestapo-like mechanism that is committing serial crimes against humanity and the Constitution. The 72 regional fusion centers administered by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The Fusion Center partners include federal, state and local law enforcement, security, intelligence and revenue agencies, as well as security-related private companies, including telecommunications companies, defense contractors, and financial institutions. The Fusion Center Gestapo comprises America's shadow government, an iron-fisted, centralized apparatus of social and political control, a calculated bypass of elected officials and the courts that arrogantly acts as judge, jury and executioner, an authoritarian regime that makes a mockery of the Constitution and the rule of law. This Fusion Center Gestapo is engaged in an inhumane criminal enterprise under the cover of national security and law enforcement. Its structure and tactics echo the efficient, centralized fascism of Nazi Germany. It is directed by a cultish security elite that has quietly usurped power from the nation's elected lawmakers and judiciary, a federal bureaucrat-directed but grassroots-based American junta. The Fusion Center Gestapo, by deliberate calculation, uses the wars on terror, crime and drugs as the pretext, the cover story, for what amounts to a slow-kill genocide, a hate and ideology-driven silent holocaust directed at persons and entire families it unilaterally and extrajudicially condemns as unworthy of the rights supposedly guaranteed to all Americans under the U.S. Constitution. The targets are untold thousands of citizens, and by extension, their families, who, without benefit of due process under the law, are regarded by faceless bureaucrats in federal and local agencies and commands as dissidents, undesirables, or enemies of the state. As in Nazi Germany, journalists, intellectuals, ethnic minorities and homosexuals are among its prime targets. And it only takes someone in a position of authority within the vast Fusion Center ambit to set into motion the process that results in a citizen's designation as a TI, a targeted individual unjustly condemned to an often foreshortened life of torment, personal and financial sabotage, and physical torture and impairment, slow-kill mass murder. Politics, ethnic background, and prejudice factor heavily in the decision to extra-legally ruin lives and rip families apart by consigning targets to what security and military insiders have labeled the torture matrix. The American Gestapo torture matrix is comprised of 4 main components: character assassination and financial sabotage. The extra-legally targeted person first realizes that he or she has been thrown into the matrix when their careers and personal lives take a sudden downturn, accompanied by whispered slanders and lies generated by the entity that first targeted them. A relentless campaign of character assassination, often conducted by persons unknown to the target, often results in sudden job loss, as employers are discreetly informed that their previously prized worker is now a person of interest to law enforcement. Strained family relations often follow as the slanders reach spouses and other relations. The character assassination is accompanied by financial sabotage, identity theft, stolen checks and important documents, often leading to financial loss, unfavorable credit terms and inflated balances on fabricated, counterfeited credit card and utility billing statements. It soon becomes clear to the target that even the local bank or merchant, or at least some of their employees, are in on the expropriation scheme. Targets are treated rudely, with open contempt, by local business people and even by previously friendly neighbors, who likely have been told lies about them by members of the Matrix, also widely known as the program. Surveillance and organized gang stalking, domestic terrorism. By this time, all of the target's communications, by telecommunications or in the supposed privacy of their own homes, are under constant surveillance, and often ideologically driven censorship. By Fusion Center Network, information systems defense contractors, whose pervasive warrantless surveillance facilitates the community-based domestic terrorism that is soon to follow. Organized stalking, commonly referred to as gang stalking. These terms are euphemisms for Fusion Center coordinated persecution that often hides behind seemingly respectable, government-funded community policing, town watch, and citizen volunteer organizations such as Infraguard, COPS, USA on Watch and Citizen Corps. If the target does not already have a GPS-equipped vehicle, making it ready for warrantless tracking, a GPS beacon often is planted on the vehicle. The target's cell phone also is used for tracking, and even targeting for silent microwave radio frequency attack. More on that later. Squadrons of vehicle stalkers, often affiliated with town watch or community policing groups, relentlessly follow and often tailgate targets as they come into range of their own GPS units. The federally funded RISNet network apparently supplies the stalker units with the target's GPS locations, often by way of local police departments who lord over the government-enabled vigilantes. Some of the stalkers may weave menacingly in the vicinity of the TI's vehicle, or even try to cause an accident. Police may find the target at fault, or even may charge the stalking victim with a traffic violation, or a crime, including, ironically, a charge of stalking, should they complain. Community stalkers often parade by the target's home or conduct noise campaigns on nearby streets, or when TIs venture out onto the road, often with the assistance of local firefighters and emergency medical technicians. Local police sometimes participate in this cruel harassment, which includes the phoning in of false alarms in the vicinity of the target, a drain on taxpayer-funded public safety resources. Death by 1,000 cuts, home intrusions, street theater, loss of privacy, vandalism, commercial sabotage. Targets also find themselves the victims of serial incidents of surreptitious home entry, harassing phone calls, vandalism of appliances or major systems such as heating and cooling, even sadistic acts such as poisoning of food and water with foul-tasting and hazardous chemicals, and the tearing and staining of clothing, rugs and furnishings. Such acts of criminal depravity often occur as the target and his family is sound asleep, and unlikely to awaken, due to silent radio frequency attack. Again, more on that in a moment. The extra-legally targeted also find they no longer can expect good service, whether it's in-home repair, at the local retailer, or at the auto service shop. They often find their vehicles mechanically or cosmetically vandalized, causing added expense, and a possible danger to vehicle occupants, or to other motorists driving nearby. The stark fact is that this government-spawned torture matrix has created a subculture of sadism and cruel depravity. Those wondering why bullying has become endemic in our communities need look no further than the local Fusion Center affiliated community watch Gestapo. Indeed, Fusion Center affiliated agencies sponsor weekend retreats for program members, where, it has been reported, bullying and harassment methods and tactics are carefully taught. Want to know who's doing this locally, where you live? Ask a neighbor for the name of the local block captain. Then ask him or her whether community watch sometimes turns into community-based harassment and acts of malicious vandalism and psychological torment. See if the answer satisfies you after reading this article and the accompanying linked material. This, Death by 1,000 Cuts, the stalking, the character assassination and community shunning, The financial sabotage, the home intrusions, the vandalism, is expressly designed to wreak psychological damage on targeted persons, to deconstruct their lives and their personalities, erode their self-confidence and their ability to earn a living, destroy their family and social relations, to neutralize them. These are the same cruel tactics practiced by authoritarian regimes past and present, from the Nazis to the Communist Chinese, in hopes of using law enforcement and the healthcare system as instruments of social neutralization. Community vigilante stalkers engage their targets in elaborate setups and stunts directed and scripted by their team leaders. This street theater is intended to unnerve their prey and provoke a response. If the target reacts with often justifiable irritation or anger, other stalkers are there as witnesses. Should the encounter attract the attention of law enforcement, whose officers already may have been tipped off to the attempted entrapment. It has happened to me repeatedly over the past 7 years, as in a contrived confrontation that led to my assault, false arrest and false imprisonment by Falls Township, Bucks County, PA Police. But relatively few street theater scenarios involve law enforcement. Most times, the play acting is done out of sadistic, petty spite, as I describe in a recent article about the night I visited a Lowe's hardware superstore trying to find the sink disposer part that was deliberately sabotaged by home intruding community terrorists. The Fusion Center Gestapo's final solution: silent electromagnetic torture and impairment. A slow-kill genocide. The psychological operations conducted against targeted persons paled in terms of sheer bestiality when compared to the final solution engineered into the Fusion Center Gestapo plan: silent high-tech torture, impairment, induction of fatigue, stroke, aneurysms, heart attack or other injury and disease. A slow-kill homicide, by means of covert electromagnetic attack. The covert irradiation of unknowing citizens is facilitated by a U.S. government microwave radio frequency, directed energy weapon system installed on cell tower masts nationwide, and capable of the precision targeting of unique individuals, or entire populations. The existence of these weapons of mass or personal destruction in every neighborhood and along every highway in America was first revealed a year ago by this journalist, who himself continues to be a victim of these heinous attacks. Nearly 8 years of electromagnetic attack have caused serious damage to my physical well-being, including chronic pain, weakened musculature and stamina, chronic fatigue, degraded eyesight and hearing, fibrous tumors, and other physical maladies too disturbing to mention here. Hospitals and medical facilities in my region, and probably yours, are thoroughly infiltrated by the community stalker brigades. I've been subject to sadistic treatment, even to what I believe were harmful procedures such as unnecessary multiple x-rays and even a CAT scan that caused pain, and my outcry elicited a sadistic remark from the technician. This happened at a well-respected central New Jersey hospital center. When I retrieved the x-ray, I found the name of another person on the actual film, under a sticky label upon which my name had been typed. So I was not surprised when a doctor informed me in 2004, the year I became aware of my targeting, that the x-ray revealed an aging brain. I didn't dare tell her that I believed the x-ray belonged to someone else. If I had, she would have bought the line that I was delusional, just what certain entities may have wanted her to conclude. I was only 54 years old at the time. I believe I was being set up by unknown authorities seeking to declare me incompetent. A felonious, fraudulent scheme if there ever was one. Perhaps that explains why another patient's name was on the film. Since no authority will come to my aid, and because it is unlikely that I could have found an attorney to file a lawsuit on a contingency basis absent physical damage arising from the procedure, I just let it drop, and haven't written about it until today. How could this happen, under the radar? Remember history. Never forget. So how, readers may ask, can such a nationwide horror escape the attention of the public, and the news media? The answer is simple. It is the same answer to the question as to how the Jews and other oppressed people of pre-war Germany could not fathom the Holocaust that was about to consume their livelihoods and their